Welcome back, everybody. This is the thejonnymar, and I'm continuing with my walkthrough of Final Fantasy I: Dawn of Souls. So we are in the Sunken Shrine, and you'll notice that I went back to town and restored all of my characters. And that is because we did the first part of the shrine in my last episode, and today we're going to be finishing off this shrine and taking on the Elemental Fiend. Now, as you might expect, we're going to have a lot of random encounters to go as we take the secondary route of this temple. So we have to head to the left, and there are some stairs over here that will take us to the next area of this dungeon. Now, many of you should know that the Elemental Fiend for each of these dungeons matches the element of the dungeon. So since we're in a water area, of course, the Elemental Fiend is going to be a water beastie. And all of these random encounters, as mentioned last time, you're going to be facing a lot of enemies that have weakness to electricity, because they are water-based, except one particular enemy. And we'll be getting to that probably in a little bit. I think they are an activation of a pressure plate before one of these chests that we're going to pick up. And we're also going to pick up a pretty awesome item in this area. In fact, we are almost there to get it. Just a little bit farther. Lots of Jill. Definitely worthwhile. But here is the other enemy I was talking about. So these are water elementals, and interestingly enough, the water elementals are not weak to electricity. They're actually weak to ice for some reason. Not exactly sure why that is, but they are. They might have changed it for this version. I know in the original that was the case, and even in the GBA version, I think. But they're easily dispatched. Our party is pretty powerful at this point. But I have been feeling the effects of these numerous random encounters, so let's try to keep our energy up and our HP at a good level. So we need to head to the west here. And this is the treasure room that we wanted with the special item I was talking about. And no, it's not Jill. Although that is certainly always appreciated. It's being guarded by Pyralisks and Cockatrices, and that is the Giant's Gloves. So these are awesome. In this version of the game, they cast Saber on anyone that uses it in battle. So basically, if you use that with your knight, it'll cast the Saber spell, and that gives you basically the same increased attack power of a temper spell, but it also increases your accuracy. Now, in the original Final Fantasy I, the spell is completely bugged, and it doesn't really work. So not really helpful, but in all of the remake versions, I think it is... Oh, and I got poisoned, apparently. So let's heal that quickly. I'm kind of on autopilot here in the random encounters, so I'm not really paying attention to what's happening. I'm just making sure my party members are alive at the end of each one of them. Because some of these beasties are pretty tough. And this is the last treasure room. So lots more Jill to pick up. Which is good, because the last few things we can buy are pretty expensive. And we get a second ribbon. So we already have one on our white mage. Let's throw one on my namesake, the red mage. Or actually, it's a red wizard now, since our class upgrade. But now it's just the trek towards the boss. And unfortunately, many of the bosses from here on out are not going to be too tough until we get to actually the final boss of the game. Now this is the final area. There's not really anything here. There are rooms, but they're all empty. So you just want to take the quickest path to the boss. So just head down here, head over to the left. We're going to head north here, and we have to do a little bit of a S pattern or zigzagging around. And eventually we'll get to the boss's chamber. And as I mentioned, he's not that tough. Now that we have the Saber spell through our Giant's Gloves, and basically some pretty awesome equipment, we're gonna make short work of these things. The only boss is the final boss. And even the final boss isn't really that difficult. He just has, you know, on average about 10 times... And I did a quick save there. About 10 times the HP of the other bosses. So who is it? It's a giant squid. That's Kraken. Perhaps the same Kraken that swallowed Captain Jack Sparrow, who knows? And he's talking smack. These depths will be our tomb. Not likely. It's actually going to be your tomb, Kraken. So as you might expect, I'm going to cast the Giant's Gloves on my warrior. And then I'm going to start hasting my party members as well. So, yeah, I think what I'll do is I'll actually cast haste on my warrior, and then I will do it with my red mage on my ninja. And basically, Kraken has a couple spells, but he mostly relies on physical attacks, so you're going to want to use your Protera spell, or Protect 2. Oh, as you can see, his physical attack power is pretty high. But now that we have our fighter ready to go, or warrior, or knight, or whatever his name is, I could cast the Giant's Gloves on my ninja again, but the temper spell's enough, so we'll just go that route instead. And let's keep our white mage in okay power here. Now ink, you know, not too tough. Basically it blinds us. That doesn't really do much to us, especially in the original, because blindness is of course bugged, it doesn't work. So it's nothing more than a minor nuisance at this point. I really don't expect Kraken to survive beyond this round. 2 more hits and a Thundaga spell, and he's probably done for. He's only got about 22 to 2500 HP. So let's see if he can survive. Nope. Well, so much for your smack talk, buddy. That is the 3rd elemental fiend down. 1 to go. Of course, as in the situation with all of our crystals, let's activate it using one of our crystal shards. And that will also open up the water-based Kraken bonus dungeon. As we do our little posing. Yeah, the Life Spring Grotto. And I guess we saved the mermaid folk. They were saying they were disappearing because of Kraken draining the water elemental power. So now they should be fine. Alright, so we are pretty much done with this area. So what we need to do next is we have to go towards the final crystal. And that is in the Mirage Tower. Or it's actually above the Mirage Tower, which is in a massive desert to the east of here. So first we need to head backward though. So I'm gonna head outside using this teleporter. I'm gonna save, and we're gonna go back to our airship. Alright, so let's make the trek south to our airship. And what we're gonna be doing is heading back to a town we went to much earlier in the game. And that is a town directly to the west of our starting town. That is right here. We have to give Dr. Unne in that town our Rosetta Stone that we found in the Sunken Shrine. And with that, he's going to be able to decipher the specialty language of the people that live near the Mirage Tower. And they're actually, once we're able to talk to them, learning that specialty language, they're going to give us an item that's going to allow us to access the Mirage Tower. Because otherwise you cannot. So let's find, what was it called again? Mirande or something like that? No, Melmond. I was quite a bit off there. And I didn't mean to go into the weapon shop. But Dr. Unne is in the northeast corner of the town. Yes, it is. That's good, right? So he learned the language in about, what, 10 seconds? And now he's going to teach it to us in about 10 more seconds. So we are either incredibly intelligent, or this is not a very difficult language to learn. And there's no little victory fanfare or anything, that's it. So now we know how to speak, I never knew how to pronounce it, Lufanian, or something of the like. And so we're going to head to that town. But first we're going to head all the way back to Gaia. We're going to save, we're going to use the inn, and I'm going to pick up a couple of level 7 spells that my white wizard can now use. But we're going to head back here eventually to the Mirage Tower. We're going to have to do a long cross-country trek to get to that town, so let's do it. You'll notice my characters are powered up. I got a couple more level 7 white magic spells, Karaja and Diaja. And my red wizard is still not at a high enough level to use level 7 magic. But now we're gonna head down to the south to this town right here. And that is Lufanian, or however it's pronounced. To get there we have to park here and travel quite a distance and fight, of course, lots of random encounters. Par for the course, we're used to it by this point. Now there's nothing in this town besides the people and the item we need to get into the Mirage Tower. So there is no inn, there's no item shops, there are no weapon or armor shops, and there's also no real magic shops. There are a couple of hidden ones, and the hidden magic shops only have, save again of course, one spell each of black and white magic. But here we are. Lufania. So these are the sky people. And how we find out that Sid was the one who built the airship. What a surprise. But I'm going to talk to all these people. They're going to give us a little bit of information about the sky civilization and the legend of the Warriors of Light, or Light Warriors. Basically, whenever there has been a calamity of sorts with the elemental crystals, we've had 4 Light Warriors appear. Not exactly sure how they get into their houses there. It doesn't look like there are any doors or anything. But the current citizens of this town are a far reach from the past citizens. They don't have the power, and they don't really understand the technology that their ancestors used. Kind of like that robot we got the warp cube from in the waterfall area. Well, that makes sense. It's usually how stories are passed on. Although now we have the internet, I guess. Maybe. Depends on how well they constructed them. Anybody else over here? Negatory. Alright, so let's head to the east. Now, as I mentioned, the weapon shops are actually sort of hidden. To access them, you have to head out towards the area beyond this wall over here to the east. Here's the mention of the Mirage Tower. And to get there, we're going to have to wait for this guy to get out of the way. So I'm going to push against him until he moves. And now we're going to head to the east and find those magic shops. So the 2 spells that are available are the Full Life spell. Definitely worthwhile. Once our white wizard is strong enough, I will come back and get it. Although I would love to get it right now. And the black magic ultimate spell is Flare or Nuke. And we cannot use that with our current party. You have to be a black wizard in order to use it. So that one will not be joining us. Oh great, another stupid citizen in our way. This guy mentions that maybe someone is actually controlling the four fiends and that they're not acting on their own. Come on, buddy. Move. So they sent out 5 warriors, and basically they haven't heard from them. They were turned into bats, apparently. And that is the last elemental fiend, Tiamat. But this is the Lufian, or however you want to pronounce it, that you have to talk to get the item that will allow you to get into the Mirage Tower. And that is the magic chime. So now all we have to do is head into the desert, go to the Mirage Tower, and this chime will allow us to access it. And then it's a fairly long dungeon, actually. It's the Mirage Tower, and then there's a teleporter that'll take us to the Flying Fortress. And that is the final area with the last elemental fiend. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna head back, heal, set everything up. I'm gonna get to the outskirts of the desert, and in my next episode, we're filthy. I guess we should wash up. Hey, it's been a long journey. Give me a break here. But we're gonna head over to the desert and we're gonna take on the Mirage Tower and the Flying Fortress. So as always, viewers, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I will see you all next time. So long.